Hi there. Welcome to my World Cup match versus Yahas of India. So far the US has one match of 4. Lime Time has achieved victory, and Dan is halfway through his match but hasn't quite closed it out yet. And then Perry Green still has to play with JSH. So there's not really any draw on the board except for the spirits. No, that's not true. There's library. What the board doesn't have any of, really, is very good extra gains. It's quite lacking in that department, actually. That being said, groundskeeper, of course, represents a pretty massive number of points. I don't think you can get through the provinces all that quickly. You can buy ports, of course, that can be remade. That's extra gains and stuff, so that's probably enough. It's definitely an interesting board, though. I think I'm going to open Silver Exorcist. I'm not all that confident of it, but it's a remake, which is fine. I could buy Poorhouse for Basilica points. That's not that inspiring, to be honest. I'm gonna get a guide and trash this copper. I'll have to take Poorhouses when he trashes coppers here, if he ever does. So I've got a guide down now. I don't especially want Poorhouses, but I think I'm gonna have to try and get a I need to get a remake soon. I should have got a remake before, but I'll get Basilica on this remake. Probably gonna beat me up a little bit on the basilica points, which isn't ideal. It's not great. I definitely think his deck is a little better than mine here. Probably would have taken ports as him, but that's pretty sad that we didn't find the remake. It might have been better to actually trash a copper there. That's not too bad. So he gets the last basilica points, but that's not necessarily a huge deal. Really, it's definitely not a huge deal. So like I said, so he didn't beat me up on the basilica points, but presumably he'll get the last of these here. Not that he has to, but so he didn't. I will probably keep that under the assumption that it's going to be my way of buying a 4 here. Though that will, of course, prevent me from exercising. Well, I can get an imp. That's not too bad. I can't buy something and get an imp, but so I'm not sure on this buy, but I'm probably gonna try and cycle to my library. I mean, I might as well leave a port on top, right? It's not hurting me. I don't need any more money, of course. Maybe I ought to have had it gotten a second remake there. So over the next few turns, we're going to be wanting to remake 4s up into 5s. There is a possibility of a 3 pile here. I guess it's not that likely. We've probably trashed enough of the coppers that the poorhouses running is not the most likely thing ever. He still doesn't have a library, which I guess is my big leg up. So there do go a couple more poorhouses, so the poorhouses could run along with the ports and the ironmongers potentially. The Exorcist has about run its course, though maybe not quite. It's a nice remake target. I don't really want like another poorhouse particularly. Big thing is to find the library if possible. Okay. It doesn't matter. The rest of this junk doesn't especially matter. So I can just straight up buy a groundskeeper, or I can buy a port with the intent of remaking it. We still have one spare action left. I kind of feel like having the ports is just a little more flexibility. Now I will certainly remake Exorcist if I find that I have that opportunity. Technically, we have an additional spare action because we only have to play 2 poorhouses at the most. So there, I played 3, so I have a couple spare actions still to play all the terminals I literally need to play on the turn. I'm pretty big up on this groundskeeper split here. So as long as as long as we don't empty the piles, then we should be okay. We'll just be outscoring him by a lot. I don't think his deck is particularly well suited to holding green cards. So now we need to find the well, we don't have to find the remake. It's not that critical. We really just need to find the library, and we did, so. This all doesn't matter. I don't particularly need the poorhouse. Well, I might want the poorhouse, but I don't need a second one. There's the remake. Still not gonna green this turn. What else do we have on top? I'll leave that. I'm not really sure the balance of ports and versus ironmongers to keep here. I'm going with, so far I've been favoring, I suppose, the port. I mean, the ironmongers can be nice once we do have some green. I guess they're pretty close right now. So the question is whether I want to go through here and draw up the groundskeepers and buy a province. Which I suppose is not crazy. To try and do. I don't know if it's actually my best play or highest percentage play or anything, but we could still probably fit in at one more remake play where we go like poorhouse to patrician and one of the fours up to a sixth groundskeeper. This is a little bit of a lower percentage play to take the province now, I think, but it's also gets the game over a little faster. I don't think it's much lower percentage, so it's just gonna be hard for him to keep up without a library. A second library would also have been quite good. So we've already gotten most of everything we could really want to get in the turn. I really ought to have not played the port, really. As long as I can guide to the library, that's going to give me enough draw, I think, to hit whatever. Hit province. I really only have to hit province a couple more times. Since I technically only have to draw 2 cards now to province. It's the 2 poor houses. It's a little... I mean, it's bad in the sense that they're my only poor houses now. It's not immediately clear to me that I ought to have done what I did last turn in trashing the patrician, but it's still fine. It would be... I think now remake plays probably ought to go to inns. And even most likely that last groundskeeper ought to have gone to an inn. But or like if I get 2 4s in hand, I can do inn library. It's gonna be pretty safe. And probably pretty good. I also wouldn't mind to just throw the patrician up to a guide. That would be fine too. To get a 3rd guide on the mat would be fine. I mean, it's a little hard to call the guides actually. Well, at this point I just don't need to. It doesn't matter. I don't have enough stop cards to fail to draw, but it's not 100% true, but it's very likely. And so it's not like he gets Ironmonger. I mean, the best thing he can do is like remakes. I was gonna say now he can't do that, so he just can't score as much as me. Like here it might be good to get it in. I can't quite do that. Maybe I'll draw the patrician now. I can do that thing I said I would do if I draw 2 4s. I think getting 2 more provinces will be no trouble. The poor houses are really quite nice here. Though I guess the real big difference has been the library, although he kept around more silvers than me. I'm not sure at this point exactly. Certainly the groundskeepers. I did go first here. He's having connection troubles, unfortunately. Seems my recent matches have been plagued by those for my opponents, not fortunately not for me. Though it doesn't much matter who is having them. The sense of frustration is sometimes a bit keener on your side, though the effect on the match progress can be similar. Yeah, he's got a nice bit of deck. He just doesn't quite have the kind of key pieces that make it really put out a lot of VP and be a little more consistent. Not that he hasn't particularly had an issue with consistency as far as getting to 8, and I suppose he won't here either have any problem. If I had been, let's say if he had gotten to provinces maybe a turn or two sooner than me even being really in a position to do it, I still could have just bought estates, you know, and remade them into guides and eventually into 4s and 5s. So, or bought duchies, you know, whatever. The estate path is actually a little bit better in the sense that you can turn the estates into something useful. Like if you, let's say that you're playing, let's say the game had gone where someone had eschewed groundskeeper, but they were humming along on the provinces much faster. You would certainly need to try and make the game last as long as you possibly could. There was a game like that in some match I watched the other day. It was really odd. And the early provincer ended up winning. I think it was, I don't remember who it was. Maybe RTT was one of them. He was the one trying to come back with groundskeeper points. I don't know. It was a very interesting game, though. It lasted forever. He's got stuff. I don't need to guide here, of course. So we found the poor houses pretty fast there. Of course, it was guaranteed from the opening hand, more or less. But so now he needs to go first. Hopefully. Oops. Hopefully he has a better luck with his connection. Maybe he's trying to sign in someplace else. Well, I know he was on Discord, so he'll, I assume, message me over there if there's some permanent change of plans. But for now, we'll just wait. I hear he's back. I mean, I don't know. I want to express my words are hard. I want to express my sympathy. I've had poor connections at times. And it's not fun. So we don't have the Royal Carriage Masquerade pin anymore. It's been unfortunately excised from the universe. Though there's certainly still plenty of mean things to do here. It's quite a board as far as the attacking and pseudo attacking goes here. Certainly, the royal carriages are your only path to pseudo actionality, pseudo plus action, pseudo taco. I think that was the word Dan settled on in the end. But everything's a bit of a mess. There's not all VP. There's a little plus buy. It's very cruddy, but it's not. It's still worth going for. I think probably you'll want the $11 herbal. Thankfully, this game you don't have to buy an $11 herbalist. You can buy an $11 overlord. So it has that going for it. I would much rather be trashed out than have apothecaries here, so I don't really believe in it. Though, you know, it's not crazy. It's not crazy to play with some apothecaries. There's Apothecary Wishing Well, which I did not really consider. So the advantage of that deck is it's maybe it maybe plays a little nicer with the various treasures, the legionary attack stuff, and the this is interesting actually. I should have thought about the board a little bit longer. That deck may play a little bit better with the, if your goal is to say play a legionary every turn. I think I'm gonna consider switching to that. Not that you keep a huge number of coppers around or anything like that. That would be silly, but so he didn't have an estate to pass me. I suppose I won't have an estate to pass him either. He buys a relic, that's fine. Which, of course, this makes my silver quite sad. It should have been a Wishing Well. Or, no, I mean, that's not quite true. The opening should have been Potion Mask. And then, on to the Wishing Well. The question is whether that... this is a point of decision, so buying that Wishing Well didn't really commit me in any way. The question is whether that deck is so fragile to minion attack. Is the only issue to me. Sorry about my slurping. Mea culpa. I guess I decided to go with the minions. I didn't really think about it anymore, but I apparently have made that choice. I probably am just gonna go ahead and take an overlord here. I don't especially want additional Wishing Wells at this stage. These draws are not especially nice, but that's okay. So he's definitely a little bit ahead of me here, beyond just first player. I suppose I can wish for the Wishing Well, or the Masquerade. If I don't find it, I'll discard and draw it that way. This is not maybe the deck I want to build, but that's sad that we bottom deck the Overlord. It's just gonna hurt quite a bit as far as moving through the deck. I assume he has his relic. So I'll just pay the debt, of course, here. Some point someone can buy the curse. I mean, whatever. I'm not especially concerned with it, but he buys another silver, which I don't especially care for. But I don't really love my choices so far either, by any stretch. Yeah, you can get a nice count trash in it, probably. Yeah, that's very nice. So he's definitely got huge thinness advantage. Now here he might take the curse. Okay, he doesn't. I don't know that I would have hated taking the curse there, but I still bottom deck my Masquerade, so that was not a profitable turn in any sense. Well, okay, I mean, I got to attack him, that was alright. Again, I failed to hit. The problem with the Overlords, and it's a pretty serious problem, is that when I get down to the end here of the, if I keep buying Overlords, the minions I think eventually will run, and then the Overlords are just kind of garbage. So that being said, if we just keep buying Overlords, it may take a while before the minions actually have to run. We may switch to royal carriages or whatever. So the way it's kind of played out so far, I would have preferred to have the apothecary deck, but I assume he'll get a minion or a royal carriage. You don't really need to buy a legionary or count or whatever, you can just Overlord for them. So I should have like some sense of what my last few cards are. I think one is an Overlord, one's a copper. Yeah, that wasn't so great. Again, this is just too many Overlords, but I feel like I can't pass another buy up. I need a royal carriage. I'm not thin at all, and he is quite. I need a royal carriage so I can play my mask mid-turn. Well, actually, so I can like play my mask twice. If I get a wish off, I may do the count here. Depending on if he relics me and attacks me and stuff. I guess everybody has swapped over to the Rabid Marcus match. Everyone abandoned me in Discord, except for Sam and Tufta. I don't know. Yeah. They're the only people who are loyal. Oh, Therum came back. Now I feel good. As long as I have three people, that's sufficient. He probably, I'm going to assume at this point that this is not, I'm going to copy paste this game number before I forget, although I suppose I'm making a recording, so there is that as well for a record. Can you start conversations with yourself on Discord? That's unfortunate, you apparently cannot. You can do that on like a lot of other chat applications, and it's pretty convenient for saving certain things, writing notes to yourself. Yeah, I think we can safely say this is a disconnection, though hopefully not mine. I'm gonna refresh just as a check. Nope. Here he goes. I'm gonna assume minion buy. I would buy a minion. Actually, he could buy a royal carriage for sure. He didn't minion attack me, he did relic me. My deck is how many is I don't have an estate. No, I do have an estate because I have the curse as well. He takes an overlord. Again, I don't like the overlord so much, though it's fine. I would really have liked a royal carriage for him there. I do find a copper. I don't really feel like I can pass up on the trashing here, so I'm just going to do it. I get a silver, which is nice, I guess. Certainly not unnice. I'm not going to take debt. We need to get some things that aren't overlords. For sure. These last bottom two cards don't look very promising. One of them is a curse, and I think the other is a copper. Though, must have been a wishing well, actually, or a silver. Must have been the silver. So, this is fine hand, actually, when he masquerades me, or if he masquerades me. This is a pretty reasonably good starting hand. So again, if he keeps on the overlords, I think eventually we can punish him. Just might take a little while. So he's buying a province. I know we can punish that. Well, that's not 100% true. I don't know that we can punish that necessarily. We can try to punish it. That counts for something. See what we get from him. Now I can pick up my royal carriage. I think we can pull this off if he continues to green. Shouldn't be too much trouble. There's so much building left to do on this board. I almost wish he was having a little bit better of a turn. I mean, I wish he had 8, basically, is what I'm saying. Would be ideal to me. You know, there is this nice thing with the royal carriage where you don't necessarily have to. You can. I mean, here it doesn't really matter because I think I just am going to end up. I guess I'll wish for the copper though. It may be silver refined. Am I gonna get up to enough money to have use for the herbalist? Probably not. What do I have now? No. So this is, well, we'll just have to more or less assume he's gonna attack me, because what does the herbalist get me? I mean, I could I could royal carriage wishing well. I mean, I might as well, right? I could have counted. That probably would have been better, although I don't hate having a few coppers in the deck. I don't hate it. It's not really that good. I could overlord and probably pay it back, but I think I won't. This hand is just going bye-bye. The wishing wells are actually nice as a masquerade passing fodder as well. They're quite good for that. I am pretty happy to have these 6 VP that aren't taking up space in my deck. Though I'm not quite sure the timing of it was right. I feel like he actually had a good spot to take it and didn't. Assuming we get to the end here and he has left the 4 points, I will probably take that as well. Depending on exactly what my money situation comes out to. 10 and 3 buys would be the ideal thing, of course, which is certainly doable, though hardly guaranteed. So I hope, buys a province. Okay, so it looks pretty good for me. Yeah, this isn't great. How many overlords do I have? Plays an overlord, plays an... Wait. Plays an overlord, blah blah blah, plays an overlord, plays an overlord. I just have these 3. Not ideal. What are the last 2 cards? There's another royal carriage in here somewhere. What did I toss? 2 coppers, 2 silvers, and a wishing well. So there's a royal carriage and something, I'm not sure. Well, it worked out. At least it worked out for getting the 5s. I didn't get the 4 points. I don't especially have to have the points. I don't yearn for the points. So far, drawn pretty well in this part of it, as far as the hands, starting hands, and not having to worry a great deal about masquerade passes for the most part. I mean, I guess one question to me is whether I should target the minions faster to get the, make his overlords bad. Not that he's in a really bad spot in that respect necessarily, but I'm calling these royal carriages a bit prematurely, to be honest. What did he toss? So there's like a silver left or something, probably. No. And then I had the other copper. So there's a wishing well in here. And some other card which I can't currently quite recall. It's a minion, of course it's a minion, okay. So I would like to actually call a herbalist twice, which is maybe a bit odd, but so this is already hitting what I want. It's just whether I would like to minion attack him again, or sorry, masquerade attack him. And I should still hit the price. Oh, and I get a set a whatchamacallit down, a royal carriage. It may have been the thing to buy if we could have managed it to even royal carriage a third I mean, I'll probably want to play 3 apothecaries this next turn. Or not apothecary, herbalist. That's not actually true on this next turn. I probably won't have $20. Though I guess I could potentially have $20. I'll just pass the wishing well. It's not a big deal. most of my junk is in the discard right now, so that's nice. Eventually his deck's just gonna gum up. I mean, I say that his deck is okay. Maybe once I get the minions, it'll gum up. I have to try and play this correctly. I don't think I'm going to quite manage $20, so I don't think I need to necessarily work hard to get 20, although 15 would be nice. What did I toss at the end of this? I tossed all the junk in his turn. So really want to find the masquerade. That's great. I'm probably just gonna call it. And pass the curse over. It gives me a little bit of a bad hand, though I think okay. I get a silver, okay. Don't trash. And this did get me to 15. I think I will trash that. So, just triple minion. I mean, when I empty the minions, my deck is going to get a little worse too. I just think relatively it'll hurt him more than me. We have the same number of overlords, so it's not like that. It's just that I have more minions. I think if he buys one, it'll be a 7-3 split. And of course I have the royal carriages, which make playing overlord as the terminals, you know, more feasible. Or possible. More than one of them, anyway. Again, I have a really nice hand here for the eventual masquerade hit. I don't mind throwing extra buys in general onto wishing wells. As I said, they're pretty decent. They're pretty decent for passing across to masquerade, since you don't especially mind losing them. I don't especially mind losing them anyway. The only issue I'm going to have here is trying to score points. I suppose what the way to green here, or one way to green here, is to count on duchies with a lot of royal carriages. You don't really want to do that across several turns, so you would want to get some carriages, quite a few carriages on the mat, and then try to, you know, gain a few on a turn. Though you may just have to start taking them a little sooner than you want. I think I'm going to have some troubles with my deck over to finish out the game, but I mean, the good thing is I'm not actually very far behind in points. And in fact, it's not, well, it's probably not possible. I'm trying to think if I could hit $24 with Overlords as Legionaries at the finish. Probably not impossible, actually. And that would just be like a win right now, I think. Well, no, it wouldn't quite be if he provinces. It'd be a point short. I don't think I could probably do it with counts and a duchy gain. I don't think 2 counts and a duchy gain is going to cut it. I'm not sure though. I was at at the start of last turn I did already have a carriage on the mat. I was at like $16 or $17. So it wasn't too far. I mean, if I can't do it this turn, the following turn it should be in sight. Of course, with the caveat that I may be making my own deck a little bit worse with if I buy the last minion. I assume he must be able to hit. I don't know if it's just the internet connection, probably. I have to assume he can get to 8 here with the legionary play. Yeah, it's just his connection. I guess these messages are the dead giveaway. So we'll have to see. What exactly he can do. If he's giving me the curse here, it's fine. I can give it back at the end of my turn. I'm not particularly worried there. If he just has his relic, yeah, so let's see what he buys. If he buys the minion or royal carriage, I would expect. At least that's what I would do. For him, it probably makes more sense to buy the royal carriage. Gold, I dislike. I mean, the idea is a legionary attack, I suppose, but it's just not doing that much. It's a pretty mean attack, but it's not that mean. So I'm gonna wish for a minion. Get pretty lucky. This is still just gotta be a building. I could take 1 province here. In fact, I should probably look to leaving royal carriages on the mat here. Maybe as much as possible. if I can still. Okay. This is probably a pretty safe masquerade, actually, but I don't know exactly what's left. I mean, it's mostly like the silvers and the coppers and a curse. Almost entirely it's got to be, but there's no real reason to risk it, especially. At least on my mind. Though I would like to cycle a little further. So we didn't play the masquerade, but that's alright. And we leave one royal carriage on the mat. That should be pretty good. So what did we get up to? 19. Yeah, we're already pretty close to what we would need. So I may have actually. Okay, he does have a minion in hand. That's great. Two minions, in fact. This actually did not work out very well at all. Though hopefully the next hand is okay. He'll probably legionary me, that's fine. I want to be able to I'm gonna have to basically get a lot of duchies, because he is probably going to hit 8 here. And I need to save the. So what do I got to do? 22. I need 4 duchies. and I need 5 duchies. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. 5 duchies. Let's see. I may get a little help from a masquerade play. Well, so I've got all these royal carriages, right? Essentially, they just all need to be counts. Like, if I can play them all as counts, then that's fine. That's 5 duchies. I just can't play them as anything but counts. But I need to find them first. And I also need to have generated $8 somewhere along the way. So here are the carriages, and then I have to find, of course, another I have to find another 12. This doesn't cut it, right? Because the 4 duchies doesn't cut it. We decided 12, 18 is 34. No, so we got to keep digging. So here are the carriages. Now I'm not going to play this first minion for cash, I don't think. Well, maybe I need to. Basically, this point I just need to find an overlord. Okay, so this is fine. Get 15 plus 21 is enough. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, well, thank you for watching this portion of the video, or the match. We're going to continue tomorrow. I will see you all later. I gotta put my flag up. Woohoo! Okay.